Hi, BonBonB here. Today we'll be looking at a mod for Cities Skylines 2, which is a detailer's dream, and allows you to take full control over your city build. Anarchy is a mod many of you will be used to from the original Cities Skylines game, but as new people are always arriving into the city builder genre, I'm going to treat this tutorial like it's the first time you've ever seen this mod. Anarchy is created by Yang, and at the time of recording is in version 1.7.2. In all likelihood your version will be fresher than this, and if so, don't worry, things should be much the same, and some of the current limitations may have been ironed out by them. However, if there are any major changes, I'll make an update video to cover these sometime in the future. So, what does Anarchy do? Simple answer. It disables error checking so that you can do things in the game that the devs originally decided you shouldn't be able to, such as walking through a wall in the first person shooter, or in our case, having a bunch of benches floating a few feet above a railway line. Now, this might sound frivolous to you and not the sort of thing you'd be wanting to do, but there are also plenty of practical reasons to use Anarchy, and I'll cover a few of these through the show. Let's start off by adding Anarchy to your playlist. As always, there's a direct link to the mod in the description, and then load up your game. Once in, your hotkey is Ctrl-A. You'll know when Anarchy is active as Chirper will catch fire off to your right. You can switch this effect off in the options, but we'll look at that later. There's also normally a button to activate mods, for those like me who get overwhelmed with numbers and combinations of hotkeys. Anarchy doesn't have a permanent button, but it does have many temporary ones, and these will show up whenever you get the opportunity to use it. Let's start with some basic detailing. Normally, you can't place props within the item space of another item, be that a road, a building, or even a tree. With Anarchy switched on, either with the hotkey or by clicking here, you can now place your prop within the confines of the building. You can elevate props and trees using the controls in the bottom of the window. The first button resets to 0. Next to it, you can increase or decrease in elevation steps of 10 meter, 2.5 meter, 1 meter, or 10 centimeters, using the up and down arrow keys on your keyboard. Keep tinkering until you get the height optimal for your needs. The final button secures the height into place, as the game will try to reset your work back to 0 otherwise. With Anarchy, you can add graffiti to walls, windows where there were none, and anything else the workshop has to offer. It isn't just props you can use with Anarchy, try it with buildings as well. What if your essential building won't quite fit because the grounds overlap? No problem, Anarchy will fix that. You can even put a building completely inside another building. Why not let your factory unit have its own hidden fire station? Or you can even detail at the water's edge, or under it, or on your road and rail networks. Let your creative juices flow. You'll also find the Anarchy rule settings under the gear button, so you can decide whether the rule should be always set to on, or to off, or forced to Anarchy. If in any doubt, I would suggest sticking with the default settings and changing only if and when you know you need to. The general Anarchy settings are in the pause menu. Click the gear button in the top right, then options, and finally Anarchy. Under general, you can set the minimum clearances under viaducts and bridges. You can also set the check rate for culled props. This is detailing which has been removed by the game, and will hopefully be refreshed before you even notice. You can make signature buildings less unique with the added reward that their bonuses stack. You can also activate Anarchy for the game editor, meaning you can hyper detail your maps now, just like in the original game. Remember though to add Anarchy to your list of map requirements, else half of your special work will fail to appear. There's a whole bunch of UI options, including removing the flaming chirper, if that kind of thing distracts you. Last but not least, you can amend your key bindings, especially useful if any of the defaults clashes with anything you already use. So keep an eye on Anarchy, it is clearly still in development, so will be even more useful in the future. Not only that, it already works in conjunction with a number of other mods, with I'm sure even more to be added over the coming months. Speaking of other mods, I have plenty more mod tutorials lined up for the coming weeks, along with the playlist including Traffic, Road Builder and Skive. So if all of this interests you, you really should subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. If you have enjoyed this presentation or found it helpful, give that like button a click and say hi in the comments. As always, a shout out to all the BonBonB buddies on Patreon and YouTube membership. You can have your name added to this list by heading over to patreon.com/BonBonB right now and making a small pledge. Thanks for watching, for commenting, for liking and for subscribing. I've been BonBonB and you've been very, very welcome.